Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. Now before we start work on this one, there'll be an info card coming up any minute now in the top right hand corner, which will take you to the video where effectively I came home with this from a tree nursery. So it was a bush in a pot, and although it's a long video, you might be interested in seeing me take what was literally a solid bush to what you now see here, apart from the new growth, which is new. So info card coming up now. Right, if you've been away, welcome back. If you haven't, it's just a continuation. Now I did a little bit of looking up for this particular type of tree. It's an Alberta Spruce, a variety of anyway, and it's like a lot of conifers. When you do pruning, trimming or anything like that, you need to avoid at all costs going back into what would be called dead wood. Dead wood is anything that has no green needles on, just simply put. Now when I first got this, it was trimmed and some branches were taken off, obviously. Some quite heavy branches were taken completely off, and it was repotted, hopefully generating some new roots. I would suggest by the amount of new growth, we have got some new roots now. So yeah, quite good. Quite pleased with it overall, considering it where it started from and the fact that I hadn't actually done that before. So some of the older needles are dying back, that's fine, got no problem with that. But what we need to do now is stop this growth elongating too far, because then any back budding might be too far away from where I want it. So it's a delicate process. Here's another thing for you as well. If I do that and cut that branch, I will end up with brown tips on any of the needles that I cut. So the way you cut a branch, if you want to trim it back, is to put your scissors in at the same angle as the needles, and the chances are you'll only cut one or two instead of most of them. So it's just a way of avoiding those brown tips to all your needles. You won't get, some needles will still get cut, you won't get them all that way, but you get an awful lot more. So what I'm doing here is pushing the growth backwards into the tree, into the bit we've already got. Now I could just pinch these and they would probably go okay. But as I said, I don't want the energy going into these growing tips when I know I'm going to take them off in the near future. Very near future, like now. Now this is a new camera angle for me. There is a problem with it. I can't see my camera. It's looking over my shoulder, sort of, or alongside my shoulder. So if I get in the way of the camera, I won't know. So the idea is my feet are firmly planted on the floor in a place where I don't get in the way of the camera. This is my theory what I have. Now this little branch here, although it's got a growing tip, I'm going to take it off. Because firstly it's too long, and I want to see what this does as a reaction to trimming. Now that had its growing tip taken off. Is it going to back bud or is it going to die back? Choice is up to it, but I won't know if I don't try these things. As I say, it's a tree I haven't come across before, and I haven't worked with before. So everything's new with this one, and I'm not quite sure how it's happened, but we've got two branches here really overlapping each other. So I'm going to do the same with this one. I'm going to take the whole end of the branch off, there. And now see if that will back bud. It's still got some green needles. I haven't taken them all back into the brown needles. That's the bit you've got to avoid. So, and then here we have one that needs a severe pruning because it's sticking upwards. And we don't want branches sticking upwards at the moment. And then we've got this big long one over here, which is in fact two. So we'll take those off. And the idea is, once I've done this, is to see what happens. Then I will know for next time. If this has an adverse effect, and I don't get any back budding, and I've lost my growing tips, well, we're in a bit of trouble really, aren't we? But I suspect, because it appears to be quite vigorous as a consequence of what's been done so far, I think it's going to pull on and backbud quite well. But I won't know if I don't try. Get in there. Right, so that's everything on the ground story that I want to do. Now here we had a very weak branch on what is effectively will become an outside bend. That branch is quite important, but it's actually pushed on another one next to it. So I've got a choice of two now in that area, just on that S-bend on that branch. These little branches here are going to become an S-bend on an S-bend on an outside bend, but I don't know which ones are going to grow best yet. So those are going to get left to push on, as is this little one here. Up here, however, we decided on what was going to be our new trunk, our new leader, which is this one. The way to get that to thicken up and blend in with the existing trunk is to let it go, so those don't get touched. If necessary, they can be pulled back later. Now this little one here, I don't know whether I trimmed that or not, but it's growing. It's got a little shoot. And again, this little branch here will probably come out sideways eventually, but I'm going to leave it be. So most of the work has been put into the lower section there, and there's not much been taken off. It's just tips really, yeah, and quite a few needles. And I suspect we will get some brown tips, but we won't get anywhere near as many as if I just chopped them off. So that'll do for now. So that's we'll call that trim number 1, because the first video, the one if you watched it at the beginning of this one, effectively was its initial styling. Yeah, so we haven't changed the styling as such at the moment. The wiring stays the same, shape of the branches, the outline, everything's sort of staying the same. All I'm doing is trying to push the tree back to get these pads denser, to get more of these lovely green shoots in more places. That's the theory. So we'll revisit this again in a while, see what effect that's had, and see what to do next. It's all good fun, isn't it? See you next time. Bye for now.